Howdy everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about, the introduction of props, right? So that is one method that you can do using, reverse lapping. So basically I just started with this down here, had a little bit of coverage here. It might not look good, especially if you hit the table, then you hear the ding. But then when you pull this away, magic, right? There's a lot of ways to do it, and there's a lot of ways to do it wrong, and there's a lot of ways to do it right. But introduction of props is something that's very, especially if you're on camera, it's fine, because you just got this down here. If you were mesmerized by it, or if you were fooled by it, that's not really the point. The point is about the entertainment of the production. So, personally, I use this. This is a Mountain Dew can. I like to show it off. It was... it's got to be a couple years old at this point. But yeah, so the reason why I keep this around is because I play D&D, and back in the day when I got this, I used to play it every night. And one of the bad guys from a campaign that I was running was a great orc. So an orc with a giant axe, and this guy was like, so somebody bought it for me and was like, "Hey, this is like the guy that you made." So that's a story that you now know. Okay, so talking about introduction of props today, let's go ahead and bring in a deck of cards. Looks good. We're going to give it a little bit of a shuffle. Then we're just going to have a card selected at random. That's going to be your card right there. So we're just going to get rid of this here. And there's your card right there. You see that? Okay. Now if we take the deck. You can get away with certain things like that in the moment of it. But I call this the see-through trick. This trick is pretty see-through, and you'll see why in a moment. Is that your card? As it rises from the deck, it just raises right out of there. Yeah. There is your card, and the deck has vanished. Of course, the deck is still right here. But we're just going through these ideas, these concepts, in terms of how to produce them. I typically keep this in my back pocket. I will change it. Actually, I don't even have it. It's way over there because I haven't carried it in a little bit. The jumbo coin. I will trade out this for the jumbo coin because I feel like they fit the same accessory slot, and I don't need to carry both because I don't have the pocket space for it. So it gives my back pocket, my right back pocket, so that when I do a trick, if, for instance, we'll have a card selected like this, okay? We'll take the deck in this hand, and we'll show you this as we turn. We're gonna turn away. Remember this card, commit it to memory, whatever you need to do. As I'm turned away, I do the switch. So then I come back with this, and then I'm just holding it in my hand. Nothing fishy's going on. I get the card back from him, put it here, and now we're ready to go. Now we're in a situation here. I'll do the rising card. Ooh, haha! So your card is the King of Clubs. I don't draw attention to this yet, because this isn't the magic yet. It's coming. Everybody else sees this, especially with the kids and all that, especially if you worked up to making the cards disappear, which is one thing that I'll do, where I'll say, okay, so your card is, let's see here. If I'm on camera and I don't want to go through the whole deal of it, I'll just say, you know what, let's get rid of all the red cards. Now let's get rid of all the spades, and we're going to get rid of all the number cards. We're just going to leave us with the Jack, Queen, King, Ace. I think the King is ringing. Yeah, the King rings to me. The King of Clubs. There it is. The King of Clubs. Very good. Whoa. We made the whole deck disappear because I'll have them imagine that the deck has vanished and the only card that's left is theirs, and then I'll just play it off as they made the deck disappear. So that's the idea. We're growing our hair out for a couple of different reasons, but I think it's looking pretty good. So that's the introduction of the the Omni deck, right? This is a beautiful thing. Now keep in mind, these videos are not going to stay up forever. These tutorials are only until the end of the month. Then they're going to go into my membership section, which is going to be 99 cents a month. Speaking of a membership section, you can get yours for 99 cents, right? That's cool. But you could potentially be a member in January for free. 100% for free. Yes, I'll cover the cost. If you're interested, just go ahead and comment down below, and we'll get you set up with a membership. You'll get to see all these videos next month. We'll get you set up. There'll be all the videos from this month and the stuff that's already in there, which is some heavy hitter stuff. Well, heavy hitter. It's beginning to medium magic, and it'll be free. So we can always get you set up. If you're interested, like I said, just go ahead and comment down below. Hacha. Okay, so that's a magic prop. What other magic props do I carry on me? Besides cards and coins, like for instance right now, what do I have in my pocket? Now I'm not set up for the day, I'm not leaving. I carry, not that I want to deep dive into an EDC video right now, that changes as I learn new things and as how I'm feeling. Earbuds, I got one in my ear right now. Coins. I've been carrying the Mario coins. I don't know. They just feel pretty good for my hands. They're, you know, if I try to use something smaller, it gets a little wonky. For a while there, I was carrying around Scotch and soda. And if you're familiar with that, which is one of my membership videos, I go through a deep dive on what Scotch and soda is and a couple of different ways on how to use it, whether you're doing walk around or at the table or, you know, some other ideas. So I'll carry that around, or I'll carry around Morgan dollars. So that's an option. But mainly I've just been carrying these around just because I like the coins across idea, where they're not only are they switching places, but they're also switching characters. So I have a standing version, which starts like this. So basically the whole premise is I say this is how you show two coins as one. Yeah, so here's one coin. See that? There's Bomb-Omb. And of course, now you have Bomb-Omb over here, because this was just Diddy Kong, right? All the switcheroonies. And then you can even do something like this, where you throw it up into the air, This is a Rick Holcomb idea. It has vanished and reappeared over here, but that's Diddy Kong. So that's two coins as one, is what I'm calling that. The other idea is when it's on the table. So for instance, you have Diddy Kong over here and Bomb-Omb over here. Diddy Kong goes into the left hand. Bomb-Omb goes into the right. So if Diddy Kong is there, then Bomb-Omb is over there. Coins across. Beautiful stuff. Now typically we keep out more coins, but I stopped carrying my coin case, which had multiple Morgan dollars in it, and I'm going to have to locate that. Kind of jealous. Doug Kahn showed a 360 view while he was doing a video of his studio space. I've kind of got some organization going on up here, but I keep moving stuff around, and this keeps getting cluttered with stuff, and it's just a small space. So I have to be more mindful of what I have out. So there's that idea. So the coins can be props in themselves, but that's not really what I really want to talk about in that regard. Like for instance, if I come over here, this is a ball and vase. So this is a prop that I probably would never do anything with, other than do this type of show with it, because what we have here is we have a ball in the vase. The ball is gone. But we can clearly, well, I don't have a pocket there, put it into my pocket down here. It is gone. I like using a chest pocket because you can clearly see it disappear. There's no funny business with going out of frame or anything like that. But it will reappear in the cup regardless. Even though you did see me put it in the pocket. That's why I like having the pocket here, because I can clearly show it here going in the pocket, but yet it will reappear in the cup. Yeah, it's quite fascinating, really. Even if it were to disappear from here, even if it were to disappear from there, it will, of course, reappear here. Yeah, It's great. It's great. Now you're thinking maybe there's 2 balls. No, there's just the one. There's just the one ball. All that funny business, right? So that's a prop in itself, but you wouldn't carry this around. Like, how would you produce this? This would be great for, like, a kid's show if you've got a stage set up, you know, a small table. Like, I take this with me if I'm going to go perform. All of this goes with me. Not this pad here. I stopped using my close-up pads, and I'm kind of sad about it. Thinking about taking one. I have an office for work. I might have one there. Just when I'm on break or something, I can bring the cards out. But I don't have the space to have multiple ones set up. Sometimes I'll take them out to the table. And so your close-up pad is a... Where's the other one? Right there. They are props that you would bring because there's some magic, like cups and balls, that you can't really do on a hard table. So what else do I normally carry? Oh, here we go. I normally carry a notepad. So that's... Not only can you write stuff down in it, like I have here, I started writing down like a routine. I have like a 15 to 20 minute thing. Wouldn't call it a polished show. I would just call it an idea at this point. Practicing all that stuff together. I stopped carrying rubber bands, and I'm sad about this as well. But then this is set up for a magic trick. Learned from Jay Sankey. So this is a magic trick notebook. So mostly I just use it for the magic trick, but I also, if I need to, I can write stuff down on the back. Because I can just go 50 cents or whatever it is. I can go pick up another one of these and just do magic with it. So that's a prop that I would carry with me. I don't carry wands with me on the go because that just seems strange. Sponge balls. That's something that we haven't really talked about a whole lot, especially in the tutorial realm. We've taught sponge balls on the channel, but sponge balls, a lot of people don't like carrying them. So I'll give you a little bit of a tip. Jay Sankey, again, because who doesn't like Jay Sankey? Well, I'm sure somebody doesn't. But Jay Sankey is, his idea on sponge balls is to make your own. Now, there's two things that I would say here. Doug Kahn goes the bunny route. So you can do the sponge bunnies, which is great because they don't roll as much as the sponge balls. I, personally, these are something that I got from, I think it was Alakazam Magic. It was a giveaway from Spidey Hypnosis a year or two ago, and I got a $100 gift card. And this was a game changer for me because I'd only been buying cards and different things like that. I bought a bunch of stuff, and I gave some of it away, but just because I wanted to share the love. But this is one of the things I got, and I've been excited about them ever since. I love SpongeBall Magic, and this was perfect because I'm still putting it together, and it's probably one of those projects that I should just complete it. The only problem with it is that it can be, if I'm not performing on the regular, keeping real oranges around gets a little problematic, right? So these sponge oranges, my idea is to do a full 3-phase magic show, or not magic show, but a cups and balls routine where the load is the oranges at the end. So what I would like to do is I would like to get orange cotton balls, which will be like the or the knit balls that you get for sponge balls or cotton balls, and basically start out the show. You're getting a full rundown right here. Someday I'll put it together. Like I have the technology. I just need to get the orange sponge ball things, or the orange cotton balls. And so basically I'll start out by saying, let's produce some orange cotton balls. Now let's transform those into sponge balls. We're getting closer to the real thing. And then for the final load, actually have a real orange appear in like a little cutie orange will appear in the cup. So 3-phase. First phase will be the going through with the cotton ball, and then the cotton ball will be, imagine this was a spongy orange, right? We're getting closer to the real thing, and that'll be kind of part of the pattern. And then at the end, when you reveal, like even as like this here comes here, and then a real orange will appear in front of their eyeballs. You know what I'm saying? So that's my idea. It's like the fruit salad kind of realm, like they do, and you can do card to orange. So that's my signature move, so to speak, is what I want to be at the pinnacle of what I do. I do the hat load because actually my cups and balls that I've performed once, I've performed it twice, but my cups and balls that will be my like bread and butter is a themed cups and balls. So what I do is I go to a party, and depending on whatever the theme is, they usually have cups that are the plastic cups that go with that theme. So I'll have 3 of those, and then I will get little mystery eggs that are themed to the party, and use those for my loads. And then at the end, I have my hat, my magic hat that I have produced, and then inside that will be a giant mystery egg, and that's for the birthday child. So as a part of how I want to price that out, obviously the minimum price for it will be the cost of the things, because that's going to be a factor in everything. If I have to buy, everything can be handed out, and that's what I love about it. Nothing about the routine is something that I have to keep. Everything about it can be given away. That can be good and bad depending, because like if I give away the cups, well, if those cups are already present at the party, then it's not like it's something special. But I want the cups to be something unique to the giveaway, which is the plan. So props, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about introduction of props, introducing a pen. Let's deep dive into this, because I feel like this is important. So for instance, let's say you have a notepad that's going to introduce your pen, because you need them to write on it. Or you're going to introduce, like, say you want to do the slapstick and it's back, which I still need to get smoother at that. Let's say you're doing coins and you need to, oh, that's the wrong way here. Let's see, you got a coin, you got to make the coin, it's not smooth. I've practiced it in the past, but I haven't really been doing it. And then you can introduce a coin from the pen if you're doing that. So you have multiple options, but make sure that when you're introducing something, I want to use for instances here. Oof, it's fallen. Let's say you have something as simple as this. We have a magic cup here, right? The ball is in the cup. You've seen. Wowzers. We're not performing today. We're just talking, and this is why, right? So here's the ball in the cup. You want the ball to seemingly vanish away. Okay, so the ball has vanished and reappeared under the cup, right? How impressive is that? And that's, you're going to build up that idea that the ball vanishes into the pocket and then reappears under the cup. Once you've set this premise, they understand exactly what to expect. For instance, when the orange appears under the cup, the introduction of the prop was done through the narrative of going to one's pocket. Whereas, let's look at it a different way when it wouldn't make sense. For instance, you have the ball under the cup. Very nice. Now I've reached into my pocket for no reason whatsoever. Unless you're somebody who's a pocket person and you have your hands in your pocket all the time, it's not a good idea. What I would recommend is this. It's a beautiful little motion here. Start with the finger palm, because you can get away with something of this nature. And now the orange has appeared under the cup. Even if I were to put this orange in my mouth, it's a little dry. Expected it to be a little bit more juicy. But of course the red ball has appeared back under the cup. I'm not going to try to eat that one, because I know that one wouldn't be good. Let's put that back in there. Which is nice to have this here, because you can clearly see a red ball going into there. Because we're done with that one, right? Now the orange ball, seemingly gone, is of course back under the cup. So you got to tell a story. You got to tell a narrative. And introducing the props requires segue. Segue. I don't have the editing skills. Well, I have the skills. I don't have the segue. I have the words. It's S-E-G-U-E, not S-E-G-W-A-Y. That's something different. Anywho, so introduction of props. And props doesn't necessarily, I think that talking about propless magic is something that's really nice, because cards and coins is usually what you would use, or you've got the ball and vase, which is pretty classic. But there's magic out there that is beyond that. That's all propless, or mentalism, or magic that uses other types of props. Rope magic, rings. There's more things out there that you can really delve into, and all of it can help you with understanding your angles, your misdirection, your timing. All of these things can be taken into consideration if you explore other vocations to get a better understanding of how to utilize your props, and how to introduce your props is another way. You can do a cut and dry method. You could get done with your card routine and you can just say, okay, cards are fine. We're good with cards. You know what? Let's go ahead and do some coin stuff. That's fine. You can do that, but you have to be able to know how to introduce it. Sometimes what I like to do is I will, it was probably last month, I did a coin routine, a coin trick, where I made one of the coins disappear, and then I introduced the deck of cards and made the coin appear in the deck of cards. So now I can put the coins away, say, hey, we found your coin, that's good, we're going to put that away, or we're going to give it back to you. Now that we've got the cards out, let's go ahead and jump into some card stuff. There's so many elements of being able to know how and when to introduce a prop, and knowing what works best, because just like with visual magic, you can either have a quick change or you can have a slow change, and depending on the person, they may enjoy one thing or the other. So ultimately, the idea here is introducing a prop can be as simple as, I have a deck of cards, ha-cha, or it can be as simple as, I have my coins. Okay, if we take this coin and we put it into our pocket, we can make this coin reappear way over here. But of course, when we throw it into our hand, it turns into a deck of cards. So you can even do a production to produce something. Especially if you're producing your wallet, or if you want to introduce a packet trick or something like that, that's kind of a nice way to do it with a production or flourish. So you can either cards, boom. Especially if you're more of a tabletop card mechanic style magician, where you're just sleight of hand and doing a couple of card tricks on the table. Having the deck of cards be the prominent feature, that's probably what you want to do, because you want to open your deck like this. You want to just bring out your deck as simple as can be, because you don't want to give away the goose, so to speak. You want to be as clean as possible with the idea that you are a professional, and that everything that you do is synchronicity, and that no move there's no chaos involved. Everything is just as simple as shuffling a deck of cards. We have a queen, we have a king, we have another king, we have a 2, we have an ace. I don't know. It'd been kind of cool. It started out pretty good. But that's the point, is that everything that you do with the deck becomes a flowing motion, and that there's no... Like, Leonard Green would have been an example of somebody that his style was chaos. He made mistakes that weren't mistakes, or that they were definitely done in such a chaotic way to bring entertainment value to the performance. But I'm sure everything that he did, because obviously at the end he got what he wanted, was all an act. It was all a performance. It was all done in such a specific way to create an element. And you have to lean into that. You have to be able to perform consistently throughout. And if all you're doing is a deck of cards, well, then whatever style fits you in terms of bringing that out. So back to the initial idea of the bottle. There's two things you can consider. So we'll do a quick rundown of a wine production. Something to keep in mind is that if you want to produce a bottle of soda or even like a juice or something that is specific, if you're doing a party, I think it's a great idea to get to basically ahead of time figure out what the birthday child or the person of honor. This is something. It's a concept because I don't know how to do it, and I should have written it down the dozens of times that he said it. Josh Nobito does a wine production, and I'm pretty sure I've explored all the wine productions that I can find online. In terms of, like, I know which one he has, I need to buy it. But the one I do is out of a paper bag. The one that I've seen in person is wine, like one of those pop-top wine glasses that you can get. So it was a production with a silk, similar to this one, except for it was inside his jacket. So when he had his silk out, he brought it out, took the lid off. He didn't do this because I would have spilled it, but he did that, and then he took a sip because he basically, the premise was he said something about somebody owing him a drink, and then he produced one. So it was good, and I've seen that one. I do the one out of the paper bag. My problem with the paper bag one, I have it sitting right there because I've been trying to work it into my shorts, is it's kind of it's a flimsy showing, if we'll put it that way. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not. It's not the magic that I'm hoping that I would get from it, because the one that Josh Nobito does is he can take off his jacket and still produce the wine. I've seen a wine production done with multiple long silks where the wine is inside the silks and you're just showing different sides of the silk and then you're pulling everything away to have the wine bottle. That one's good. I've also seen, I don't know the guy's name, he kind of looks like Andy Dick. A stage comedian magician guy, and he does it, but he does it with a collapsible bottle. So when he puts it into the bag, he can squish it down. It's a sponge bottle or something. So, and it's still entertaining, not to say that it's bad. But those are the different concepts and the different ideas in terms of how you want your magic to come across. And when I do the bottle, when I produce a bottle from the bag, it gets fishy. Like obviously I need to practice it more and get a little bit better with it. But ultimately, when I do magic and how I perform, I consider how I want it to look, and then I look at the trick and determine, okay, this isn't really, it's not living up to what I'm thinking in my head. And I think that the one that Josh Nobito does is the one that I envision, because it just seems like a real production. And that's kind of what you go for. Is the problem with the bag is that there's a big glaring hole in the center of the trick. If you know, you know. Anywho, so there's so many other things. Just looking at my table over here, got sponge balls, which in considering of other props, like what do I have? I don't know where I put it, but it's the insurance policy. They've actually updated it to a business card now. But I have the fold-out paper, which has cards inside of it. So when you unfold it, you can find, you basically force the card, you made a mistake, and then you go through your insurance policy, and then you reveal their card on the paper. It's nice. There's some wonkiness with the wording because it was produced a while ago, but it's definitely not like, I wouldn't definitely perform, I wouldn't read that part nowadays. Which is fine. Things change over time, and things that were acceptable 20, 40 years ago, whether they were good or bad, they're just not as accepted now in the general population. And if you want to perform, you have to know your audience well enough to know whether or not you can use certain phrases or certain words, or just be mindful of that, because your job is to entertain, not to create conflict. Unless, of course, your persona is to create conflict, because that can work. For instance, I know that street magicians that have been doing it for 40 years, they learned those phrases, they learned those performances, and they say things that you probably wouldn't say in regular company, but it's part of their performance, and you still kind of like, it's cringy and it's chuckle, like, oh, okay, let's move on. But it's just part of their show, and it's part of what they're doing, and it works for them. But it's still, it still makes you think twice about, like, okay, that was a little much. Anywho, I'm just trying to think. I got the magic hat, which I actually found recently. This is kind of exciting. One of the stores near me actually is carrying the collapsible magic top hat. So I'm like, do I need a second one in my life? Maybe. They also have a magic kit there, but that one's like $50. And I'm like, is it any good for $50? Because the last magic kit I bought was $5, and I know that was really, really, really on sale. Because there was like push-out product, so it wasn't even... They were just trying to clear it. This one's a $43, $45 value, and I'm like, I don't even know what some of these things are in here, which is interesting. So I think that's definitely something I want to get my hands on. But I've definitely got to keep my eye out and, save up my money. Save my pennies, if you will. Or I should be like Jason and learn how to produce coins. That'd be good. Now we're just kind of rambling along here because we're talking about magic props, and I'm trying to get a feel for what I have here. Rope magic and rings. When I talk about props today, I'm talking about accessory props. So, like the silk and things like that. You can do tricks with them by themselves, but you're most likely going to be introducing them as a part of another prop, and you might take a break and do something quick with them to do productions or flourishes or reveals or something, but they're going to be accessory props by and of itself for the most part. You could create a whole magic show with just those props if you wanted to, but for what we're talking about, I think, and we're almost out of it depending on where you're at. I'm just seeing my mask up here. I always try to keep a mask in my pocket because you can do a couple of one-off tricks with the mask. For instance, you can do cut and restore with the bands. You can do a card reveal. There's some things that you can do. You can do a production with it. So I just think that there's some magic to be had there. And if you're in a situation where you need to have the mask because there's still places that are requiring it, you can lighten the mood by using the mask. And that's really why I carry it. Well, actually, I think one thing out of COVID. Am I allowed to say that on here? Probably I'm allowed to say it. But one thing out of the pandemic that has happened that I'm glad about is that people wear masks now when they're sick, which I think is not a terrible idea. I think that if you're not feeling well, or if you're going into an environment where other people are sick, you have the choice to just pop it on real quick and then take it back off. And I think that's a good change into the future, is that we're now more aware of the fact that is an accessory option that we can have. But we've moved, at least in my area, we've moved out of the needing it, per se. And I've never really talked in depth on the channel about all that, because I started doing YouTube towards the end of 2020, and I didn't really want to make the channel about that type of broadcasting type thing. And I think that in terms of magic, when we talk about magic, that's why we're talking about the mask. And if there are situations, regardless of what your views are on the mask, there are situations that as a magician you may find them useful while interacting with your audience. And that's your choice. Always. 100% your choice. So, what else? I think that's about it for today. Oh man, I see the coloring book up there. Love the coloring book. It's a blast. I think that's going to be about it today. We're talking about props today, getting more in depth with some magic theory, and not just about the magic tricks, but also talking about what you do, whether it be before you perform or while you're performing. Certain little nuggets of information that's helpful for you. And just talking about those things that might not be as well known throughout the well, they're well known, but things that you might not think about that may help you when you're trying to figure out how to get from A to B with a certain situation. And that's enough of my musings for today, my magical ranting, if you will. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Remember, stay positive, stay active, and stay awesome. And we'll see you in the next one.